Hello, Fáilte. Welcome. This is Lora O'Brien from the Irish Pagan School and the Ohm Academy. And I'm here in our office recording some guided journeys this morning for the Ohm Magic class that I have taught. I wanted to do an extra bonus of a guided journey to include with that for magical practice. And I also am putting together some new journeys for our guided meditation membership in November as I record this. So both of those are available at the Irish Pagan School if you're interested. But what I was thinking as I was recording the journey was about aphantasia. So this is an issue, a question, a problem that I have been asked about multiple times. So I'm just going to give a definition of what aphantasia is. It's often described as a visual condition, but it's actually multisensory. People who experience a lack of mental imagery can have reduced capacity to access other mental senses, imagining sound, movement, smell, taste, and touch. So it's been called mind blindness. And the most standard definition is that it's the inability to voluntarily create mental images in one's own mind. So in some people, that does extend to other senses. For most people, it is visual. Most people seem to be primarily visual anyway, imagination-wise and all the rest of it, and not rely so much on their other senses, just in the day-to-day run of things. I just wanted to address it in regard to not the common problem is that people think that they won't be able to do my guided meditations or guided journeys in the Irish Otherworld, which I teach my own technique through the irishpaganschool.com. So this is a tradition that is, well, it's now a tradition, but originally it was just my practice, and it was developed by me in right relationship with some guides from the other world who were kind of helping me focus and help me keep safe and help me get back safely from my initially involuntary forays into the other world. So eventually I had my own practice and I was able to then kind of formalize it for teaching. So as I was formalizing it for teaching, what I did was I brought in a lot of the experience that I had working in groups and talking within the pagan community that I've been a part of since I was 16 years old, reading books and all the rest of it, and issues that people were having with meditation, with guided journeying. And because of that experience, because of that research, because of my own practical experience and those gathered testimonials, I was able to put together a process which addresses a lot of these common concerns, including aphantasia. Now, no system is going to be perfect. And, I can't guarantee a 100% success rate for everybody. But what I have found working with people with aphantasia over time is that this particular system of guided meditation or guided journeys is the best. The feedback I've gotten is the best way to actually engage with this practice, engage with a meditation without running into the usual stumbling blocks or blockages that people have had when they suffer from aphantasia. So one of the reasons for this is the multisensory nature of the journeying. From what I can tell, it would be very rare for people to be completely sensorially blind. Now, I'm sure it does happen, right? And I will address that in a second. But for most people, most of the time, there's one or two senses that they're particularly weak. Again, blindness on them, mind blindness is what it's been called to me so many times. And one of the reasons that I'm so careful about multi-sensory experiences is because this is a problem that I've had for a very long time. When I was 16 years old and I started reading books on paganism, and then when I was 18 years old and I started actually engaging with members of the pagan community, I joined a Wiccan coven. My history is elsewhere on the internet. I don't have to go into that now. But at that time, I could not meditate. I thought I was broken. do go into this in detail. There is a free class at the irishpaganschool.com, a foundation in meditation and guided journeys, and you'll be able to catch that. There's links below here. There's usually a link after our podcast for our free classes at the Irish Pagan School, so you can go and have a look and check that out if you want to get into a little bit more detail about this. And comment below if you have this problem, if you have this issue, if you're watching me here on YouTube, comment below and shout out. Let me know how common this is within my own viewers. And especially if you have tried this guided journeying method and it has been successful for you when other methods maybe have not been. Because again, that's very, very common feedback that I get. But as I said, I had this problem. I thought I was broken. And that was part of how I developed the system and the process that I use and that I teach. So I couldn't visualize. And I wear glasses, I'm short-sighted, and I often will go out and about in the world without my glasses on, and have been my whole life. So I would often find myself in the world with very little visual information to be, drawn in on beyond the literally an arm's length in front of me. Everything starts getting blurry. So it's an interesting way to experience the mundane world. And it is something that I have brought into developing this system, this process, this method for guided journeying or guided meditation. So, as I said, part of that was the multi-sensory experience. So I'm actually just going to share my screen. I will show you just on a kind of a blank template here. So this is what we get when we are doing the scripts for the guided meditation membership. I'm trying to have a cohesive process because a lot of that guided meditation membership is my gathered journeys I have been teaching. I started with a podcast in 2016, believe it or not, early 2016. Started with a podcast which was guided meditation. That was the very first spiritual content that I was making online. Apart from blog posts, I've been blogging since 2000s. But it was the first audio content or visual content that I was making. I think I might have had a YouTube channel before that, but I definitely wasn't doing it with any consistency. So anyway, this process has developed since then, but the basic template is actually the same. You go into the darkness and then you are breathing and you're floating and you move towards a point of light. You're at a doorway, you go through the doorway and you are going down the path to the beach, right? And that's basically where the journey kind of starts from. But as you can see here, so it does talk about looking out over the sea and seeing waves. So we do go through the visual, but we also then move along the shoreline and the boundary, and we can hear the sound of the waves as they break and flow towards you, hear the birds, smell the salt in the air, taste it on your tongue, and you're breathing it deeply and you're getting that sensation of how it cleanses and refreshes you. And then again, to continue the sensory experience, reaching down, taking some of the beach material, and beach material can be anything from sand to rocks to clay in some cases, smooth stone, feeling the beach material in your hand. I deliberately leave a lot of the imagery as open as possible so that people can have their own experiences, because what I have found out is everybody's beaches are different, and that's great. And often actually with my students, what happens is they find themselves on a beach, a particular beach or a particular strip of coastline. And then as they're going along in the months or the years after starting to do these guided journeys, they will see a picture of that particular beach that they consciously certainly have never seen before. And it's often a beach in Ireland, actually. It's interesting because people have all these different experiences. And then you're running that material through your fingers or running your fingers over it if it's stone on the ground, letting it rest in your palm. How does it feel to you? And you're getting those sensations, right? And that's how you kind of sensorially go into the journey. And that honestly works for most people. And it takes the pressure off the visuals. So you don't have to sit, you don't have to imagine. You're literally being guided through this sensory experience almost. And with everything that we're doing here, and I can't emphasize this enough, one journey is never going to be enough to tell you whether this is going to work for you or not. And I think, honestly, I think a lot of people give it a try or two and then say, no, this doesn't work. It's the same as everything else. And maybe other things would have worked as well, but certainly with this practice, it takes practice. It is a practice. It's a path that you start to walk on, but you don't just take a couple of steps down the path and then, oh, I'm not getting where I need to go, so you call it done, right? You continue the journey. And I'm not trying to like give out to anybody or judge anybody, but we do have very short attention spans these days. And we have been led, especially in spirituality, we have been led to believe that a guided journey or, you know, a guided meditation even is going to be some earth-shattering experience that will like change your life. And sometimes that happens. In fairness, sometimes that happens. What you don't hear about because it's not sexy and it doesn't sell is that it takes work, it takes practice, it takes consistency. These are muscles that we have not been flexing. And especially if you have aphantasia, your brain doesn't even try after a while because that's just, you know, it kind of writes it off that this just doesn't work for you. So there's no practice of it, there's no anything. Now, I'm not saying that it can be cured by this, I'm not saying that at all, but perhaps other senses can come into play if your visual is not there, right? And for some people, just to be clear, for some people, this sensory experience is just not going to be anything. They're not going to be able to do it. And the beautiful thing about a guided journey or a guided meditation, especially in the way I do it, where you're very safely led in, there's a lot of psychological touch points, there's a lot of best practice, shall we call it, with the same lead in and the same way home, because that's where a lot of guided journeys and guided meditations kind of fall down. They bring you quite deep sometimes on the way in, and then it's like, okay, and then you're coming back now, and you know, you can feel your body and all the rest of it. I don't do that because that's fucking dangerous, to be completely honest. You go in and come out exactly the same way every single time, so it becomes almost like the equivalent of a muscle memory, right? So whatever experience you're having in the mid part of those journeys is going to be different for each journey. There's a different focus and a different intent on those journeys. And this was a level 1 journey. We also have level 2 where you go out beyond the beach and over to an island or explore the otherworld version of Ireland as well in some of the journeys. So that's a whole, the level 2 stuff is next level, literally. So don't worry about that now. But for everything that you're doing within the journey, you are going in and coming out exactly the same way. And that is so important. It's essential. And it's essential that that gets practiced. And it's essential that the sensory experiences get practiced and the technique gets practiced so you get better at it. Your brain learns these pathways. You get those little grooves going on where your brain, your conscious mind knows what it's doing, is familiar with this process. And that way, then your subconscious and your unconscious are much freer to actually do what needs to be done, which is the whole point of a guided journey or a guided meditation. So for the people who absolutely can't visualize, engage with any senses, they are completely blank on any of that. What is good for you is that you are sitting and breathing. It is a meditation practice, so it's not nothing, it's not worthless. You are sitting and you are breathing and you are going through, you're essentially getting a story told to you, so you can listen to the story and you can just engage with it in that way. And I would be very, very surprised if anybody was genuinely engaging with this, and I mean every day or every week or at least a couple of times a month, where over time you are not seeing mental and physical health benefits from this practice, at least. So the value of this, if you are in that complete aphantasia situation, the value of this is still that you get the mental and the physical benefits of meditation, where perhaps other forms of meditation would not be suitable for you, because there is that imagination. This way you get to kind of sit and listen to a nice, soothing, calming story, and your body kind of does what it needs to do. But I'd be very surprised if you didn't have any kind of spiritual experience if you're engaging with this over the weeks and over the months and even over the years, because again, this is a lifetime's practice. There are people who literally dedicate their whole lives to meditation, and this is a form of meditation. So we need to be viewing it in that way, not in the one-hit wonder. Oh my God, I had this shamanic experience at the weekend and it changed my life, man. You know, that may or may not be true, may or may not be useful to most of the people most of the time, but that's not what we do. So hopefully this has been useful for people who maybe have aphantasia or just are having issues visualizing or even engaging with these sensory experiences in any way, or who have had problems with meditation in the past and just want the physical and mental benefits of meditation. If you in any way think that my voice is going to be working for you, then again, go and check out that free class. There's a link below. You can go to the irishpaganschool.com. You can go scroll all the way down and you should see the free guided journeys, the foundation in guided journeys. I'll leave links below to the free classes so you can go and have a look at what's available over there. And make sure that you practice whatever form of meditation, even if it's not mine. You need to practice. You need to actually give yourself the time and the space and the consistency to get good at it, you know, for your brain and your body to understand what's happening. It's so important. You just need to practice. Okay, slán go fóill, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.